Hello my friends. Here are a few knives that I'm going to take a close look at, and these are all grafting knives. The knives that we have here, this is a Kloss made in USA. This is a Felco, which is the Victorinox, and that would be a Swiss steel. This is a Berger. This is a German company. The knife is made in Italy, and this is a Zenport Industries. Looks like it's a copy of the Berger, and this is made in Taiwan. Price of the knives, this is about $35. This is $12. This is $12. This one, I don't know. It's one that I had for a number of years that I repurposed. This one is a Berger, and the company is a German company, but the knife is made in Italy, so I was disappointed in that. And then at the inspection of the knife, looks like it's okay. It's got a budding tip on here, but when I look at the edge, it's not super sharp. It is a grafting knife. You can see here this is a right-handed one. This side is perfectly flat, and the other side has the taper. Okay, the steel, I believe, should be pretty good in this knife. This cost roughly $35. So I'll touch this up, and that looks like it'll be a decent grafting knife. And then the Swiss steel, the Swiss Army knife, that's this one. I've always had a Swiss Army knife. I've carried one for 50 years, use it almost daily. I modify the handle. That's deer antler, and I'll show how that's done in a later video. So I'm going to sharpen this one. I'll show that too. This one, I think plastic's still sticking on it. It's not allowing me to open it up. Yep, there it is. Okay, that's better. Okay, I'm inspecting this one. I've always carried the Swiss Army because I believe the steel is one of the superior steels. Now this backside, I can see that it was honed and it's flat. This is a right-handed grafting knife, and the other side is tapered, and it does have a second bevel. The cutting edge has a second bevel, and it feels very sharp. So I'm not even going to touch this one. This one's going to go right into service, right into use. This one, on the other hand, it's not nearly as sharp. This one needs touched up. It also has the second bevel. And this one, I just got done grafting. So when I finish grafting, it's still very sharp. I'll hone it up again. Looks to me like I have a small nick. Nope, that's part of the wood sticking to it from the graft. Okay, when I'm done, I like to hone those up so it's ready to use right at the next grafting time. Okay, and then I also clean these with a bleach to kill any disease that might be on the knife from other trees. Okay, this knife I like the shape of the blade for grafting. The problem is it's beveled from both sides, and a grafting knife should be either a single bevel, and it's made for left hand or right hand, depending on the bevel. So I'm going to take this knife and I'm going to remove, oh, the other nice thing with this, the blade is made in USA. So you get a shot of that. So it's USA blade. It's Clauss, C-L-A-U-S-S. That's the name of the knife. The blade is hollow ground. You see, if you look closely, this whole side, it's concave, and that's with both sides. By having it hollow ground, it allows you to put a pretty sharp edge, a very sharp edge on this. You can get a finer edge. So what I'm going to do is work on this one side and try to, won't try, I will, I'll make this side the flat side. I don't need to get rid of all of the hollow ground, but I do need to make this leading edge flat. Now, I worked on this a little bit, and I'm going to see if I can show you, point something out here. It feels sharp, but not real sharp. It's not razor blade sharp. And I need to get the light reflecting, and you can see this leading edge here. It's pretty flat, but I'm trying to show the light reflect. There's a little bit of reflection right off of the cutting edge side. We need to continue sharpening until we can get rid of that shine off of the edge. A sharp knife, you will not see the cutting edge reflect the light. And of course, this is the side that will be sharpened normally at an angle. This one, we need to make it flat. So this stone, it's diamond, and it's on a steel plate, and it's a stainless. So they recommend using water to clean the stone. And when you store it, you have to make sure it's very dry. Okay, I can feel this has very good grit, the coarse. And I'm holding this flat, and I'm going to work this and I can see it's taking it down very quick, and you can see scratches where it's rubbing, so that means it's taking it down real quick. And again, this is the coarse side, and when I'm using this, I'm trying to use different areas of the stone, or try to use the entire stone, because there's going to be metal filings in between the diamond. And once this fills up, it'll stop the sharpening process. So it's recommended to clean the stone with water and use a nylon brush to brush the surface to remove the chips. That seemed to take it down enough. Now we need to get these coarse scratches out, so we're going to flip this over to the smooth side and do the same process. I'm holding the blade down to try to put even pressure on the whole surface of this blade. Of course, what I'm doing is not typical sharpening. This is trying to reshape the blade for a specific use, and that's for a grafting knife. And you can buy a grafting knife, which I did. I bought a few different ones. but this is one that I had around, and I'll use it more if I have it as a grafting knife. You got to be real careful when you rub your hand across the blade like I just did. That might not be a good practice. Let me give a close-up. And now I'm trying to show the cutting edge. And I think I have all the reflection gone now. Okay, now once that's done, I'm going to work on the actual cutting edge. So we want to use a low bevel for this. So we'll go with the smaller angle. We're going to go with the 14 degrees. A grafting knife should be as sharp as a razor. So I'm going to do this by hand, and I'm going less angle than that guide. What I'm doing here, I'm going back and forth. I'm able to maintain the angle a little more precise by keeping uniform pressure with each push. The cutting edge, and I see no reflection off of that surface. 1200 sounds like it's a pretty fine grit, but my water stones go up to 8000. So that leaves a mirrored, polished finish on the surfaces after it gets rubbed onto that. Now with the diamond stone, you can flatten out your other type of sharpening stones. So I'll do that to my honing stone, and then I'll finish this up on the honing stone. This is the flat side of the blade. I'm holding the blade flat onto the stone. And again, this is a grafting knife, that I'm making this into a grafting knife. And I'm making it for right-handed, so I'm putting the bevel on this side, and the bottom side is going to be a flat edge. Now, stropping is drawing the knife, and what this action does is it leaves the cutting blade very thin at the end. It kind of, the real thin part, it's actually flexing the metal, so it kind of elongates it. When you sharpen a normal knife that's not for sharp like razor, not razor type, you want to break off or remove that real thin flexible edge and leave a more sturdy edge. And the way you do that is you draw the knife in a cutting action. Drawing away leaves that longer flexing edge. It also has a tendency of dulling quicker, because those flexing edges will break off and then leave that edge a little ragged. You can't see it with the naked eye, but if you put it under a microscope you would see what's happening to it. Okay, this is pretty sharp. If you ever touch the edge of a razor, which it is unforgiving, you can feel it wants to dig in. And of course you could cut a piece of paper, but you could do that with any knife. So this is ready to be used. So we're going to test it on doing some grafting. Here is the final sharpened blade, and I'm trying to show right here, this is the side that I flattened. You can see this at the back edge here of the knife. It's been rubbed just like the leading or cutting edge has been. And right here you can see the hollow ground on the blade, which if this were another knife, pocket knife, I love this type of a blade. The buck knives, the folding buck knife, is a real hard steel, and it's also hollow ground. Once you get those knives sharpened, they stay sharp a pretty long time, but it's such a hard steel it makes it difficult to sharpen. The diamond stone should do a good job onto a buck knife. Okay, the other edge here, you can see I have not rubbed this surface, and I maintained a longer angle only on the cutting edge. So this angle is coming towards the flat side here, and you won't see light shine off of the cutting edge itself. If you saw any light glisten, that's a dull spot. So you can tell how sharp a knife is by looking at the edge and looking for light to reflect off of that edge. Okay, this is ready to test on grafting. This is what I'm talking about with the grafting edge on the blade. This is the side view or edge view of a knife edge. Okay, one side here is flat. The other side has the bevel, and that bevel could be on either side of that edge, depending on whether it's for left hand or right hand. A concave area in an edge, that's this curve here, and then the blade will be sharpened. Standard knife, it has a tapered width, and then the cutting edge is beveled on both sides. Here you can see, this is what I'm talking about. A razor edge will have a long, thin piece that's very flexible, and that can break off easily. With a standard knife, that edge, that flexing edge, is removed by doing the cutting action on the stone. It doesn't allow the leading edge to bend and give way to being removed on the stone or the honing process. This is desirable for shaving, but it does not hold up for a long time for standard knife use. This can be maintained by continuously stropping after each use, and it will straighten this edge. It's being very thin, it can get wavy or bend one direction or the other through the length of the blade. So stropping will straighten that out, and it will maintain that sharp edge. A utility knife or kitchen knife, you don't want the razor edge. It will hold up sharp or stay sharp longer this way. This burger knife, looking at the cutting edge, and I started honing it, and you can see some areas are touching, others aren't, that means the blade isn't perfectly flat. So it does need to be sharpened. Coming right out of the box, it's not usable. As I'm moving this, I'm holding it at the same angle. I'm not applying pressure when I'm pushing. I'm only applying pressure when I'm drawing it back. On the back side, I'm holding the blade flat, no angle. And you can see from what's shining, that back is not perfectly flat. And it's close enough. I do not want to use the coarse grit. I want to stay with this fine grit, the 1200. And all this black, this is not the stone, this is a diamond stone. This is the metal coming off of the blade. What I'm looking for, this is the area that's being sharpened or ground down. And I need this area here to touch the entire length of the cutting blade. I'm not concerned with any of it in the middle or the back, but it all should be touching the cutting edge. Okay, here's what we're looking for. The back side of the knife is flattened, and this side has the sharpened cutting edge. You could see how the blade isn't perfectly flat, how it cut more, but it's sharp. And right now we're looking to see for any light reflecting off of that edge, and I don't see any reflecting. So out of the box, this knife was not sharp enough to use as grafting. Right now it's ready to go. On the other hand, the Swiss Army knife, out of the box, the back side of the blade was honed. You can see right there the honing. So that's flattened, that's flat. The steel in Swiss Army I know is excellent. I've used Swiss Army for years, and this one, without me touching it, it's ready to be used. Here's another grafting knife that I bought. It's by Zenport Industries. It's labeled as a budding grafting knife, and if you look close, it looks very similar to the burger knife. Okay, this knife costs $12, and that included shipping. Okay, now it looks to me like it's an attempt to copy the burger knife. Okay, so at a close inspection of this knife, you can see they're using brass rivets, which that's good, that's what's on the burger knife. Okay, now when you look at this side, the burger has brass plates throughout. It has the stainless piece on the back. That would be the spring that puts tension onto the blade. This one is just plastic on the sides. It does have the metal, which is the spring that locks the blade. And then the budding tool, this portion. Okay, on the burger, You can see the dimension. It looks thicker. It feels real smooth. The edges are rounded off. There's nothing sharp on there. If you look at the Zen port, this one feels sharp. The edge feels sharp. It's real thin. Now for budding, you don't want to be cutting. You want to pry that budding portion into the cambium layer and not cut into the layer. This one would cut and maybe dig in. This one is thicker and it should work the budding a little better. Okay, now take a look at the blade. The burger blade. Okay, this is sharpened. I just finished sharpening it. Out of the box it was not sharp, but you can see here I have the blade flattened and the whole side is one flat side. The other side you have the taper, the right hand taper, and with that then you have the second beveled edge. That edge is what makes the knife sharp. And again, no reflection off of the cutting edge, and that edge is very smooth. On the Zen port, if you look close at the blade, you can see that it is tapered or beveled from both sides. However, the attempt to make it a grafting knife, this one side only has a continuous bevel, and when I feel in here, right in this area, I can feel grabbing on the edge, like nicks, where the pieces of metal are sticking up. Looking on the other side, a continuous bevel. They do have it polished real nice. And then you could see the second bevel, and that's what sharpens the knife. And then we're looking here, and you can see light reflecting. So this is not sharp. And you can see here also, that's a sticker on the knife. It's made in Taiwan. So in the look at how the rivets are set on the back side. That's not a very good setting on there. It's like they put pins in and then a washer and then peened that edge over. Okay, this knife, I think I'm just going to discard it. Not even going to make an attempt. I question the quality of the steel and the manufacturing. Even the back feels real rough. Any of those details is throwing signals that the knife quality is very poor. So this one won't be used. The burger, on the other hand, made in Italy, German company, knife made in Italy. I would suspect that the quality of the steel is good. The price of the knife was quite a bit more. I like the brass and how it's set. It's smooth. What I do not like with this knife is the handle being black. I would like it a bright color, because quite a number of times I drop my grafting knife and then I'm looking for it in the field. The spring has real good tension, but when you're using the budding portion of the knife, you may be prying slightly backwards. I would be very afraid of a razor sharp knife snapping closed on my hand. I like the budding tip that comes out of the back of a knife, and I think Berger makes one that way instead of having the budding tool there, they protrude it out of the back. That would be a much better knife to be using. Overall, on the knives that I have, the Felco is the Swiss Army, the Victorinox steel. Out of the box, this is amazingly sharp. I'll probably hone it a little bit just for the sake that I'm going to do it. But I think out of the box this one can be used, and I'm very familiar with the Swiss steel, and it's extremely a good steel. So with all the reviews of people that are doing grafting, when asked what grafting knife they prefer, an awful lot will say that they like to use a utility knife that they can replace the blades. And they're sharp. I don't think they're as sharp as the razors. But those that are using a grafting knife, the majority of the people are saying this is the one that they prefer. And that would be my choice also. This one looks similar to the Swiss Army. Or I don't know why I keep calling it Swiss Army. The Victorinox, the Swiss brand right there. This one is a made in USA. It has the double bevel, which is great for a carving knife or another type of a knife. Not quite so useful as a grafting knife, but this I reconditioned. This is very sharp. I grafted with this and performed very well. The steel looks like it's a pretty good quality. It still feels very sharp. I will clean this and rehone it and put it away for the next grafting. So my choices, and this is the Claus. I don't know if that's the right pronunciation or not. C-L-A-U-S-S, and that's made in USA. So these are my two choices for grafting. Also being a red handle, when you drop it in the grass or in the field, it stands out. This one, you know, I'll be using it, and I would like to see how this steel holds up. So time will tell. Being tight like that is good for keeping it locked open. They're all about the same lengths when it comes to being open. So, and it's a very workable size. I think these are all good knives, but my choice is this one. Thanks for watching, my friends. Bye-bye.